So Kim, congratulations on another fabulous Playful Narrative Therapy webinar. What did you like best about today?
Well, I love the enthusiasm of the participants and, you know, being able to break down some of the lofty aspects of narrative therapy into some basic, understandable, and these are teachable skills that they can straight away run with. So externalizing, and, you know, people gave feedback at the end how to use the mobile phone for finding examples of how many children have bedwetting problems and being able to have that conversation with a child that's, say, struggling with that, which is externalizing it. So bedwetting is a common problem, is it? 1 in 5, what does that mean? So we're getting some distance from a problem that's central to understanding narrative therapy.
And do you think playful narrative therapy is really only for those of us who are counselling children, or do you think it could have wider applications?
Look, I think we have to be sensitive with adults and even young people, adolescents, because the seriousness of life itself has arrived at their door. Children have this, you know, relative innocence and joy even after a death in the family. 10 minutes later they can be laughing with a friend and playing tag, you know. So it's like, but nevertheless, I think it's worth looking for openings to bring a playful spirit about how we interact with life with adults and adolescents, and testing the water and respectfully seeing. It's a bit like in the example from the webinar today, we had the EAP client, the nurse, who said after a few sessions, "Oh, Kim, it's just like a hen house with the rooster just for show," you know. And she was able to externalize her workplace.
What do you think what do you think possibly it is? I know we've had conversations about the importance of humour for both of us in our professional and personal lives. What do you think it is about humour that helps people in a therapeutic context?
Well, I think on a number of levels. We've got that physiological, when we laugh, all the muscles around the ribs loosen up a bit, and the air comes in kind of little movements that loosen the shoulders, and then the brain gets a feedback loop that says, "Oh, things aren't as bad as we thought," you know. Plus, all the muscles are used and light up your face. It's hard to think of a really sad situation when you're laughing. You might come back to that, but for those moments, you've had some respite from some darkness, and the more of those moments you have, the better the balance in your life. So yeah, I think humour is excellent.
Thanks. I know we've spoken a lot about how challenging it is for those who are counselling children to get practical, skill-based understanding of what to do, particularly in these difficult times, because most counselling, psychology and social work programs don't have specific training, skills training for those working with children. What do you think your training adds to the mix?
Well, I think what happens is people leave their degree, university, you know, and they've got their degree tucked under their arm and off they go. And if they've not had experience working with children, they might step into a job working with adults. But at some point, one of the adults is a parent and says, "Can you work with my child?" And then all of a sudden, you know, after one session, they think, hang on. So they can go to a place like the Sydney Centre for Creative Change and look at what's on offer. What do I need? Is it bereavement skills, or is it with anger? Is it some play therapy? Oh, I think I could possibly do that. So what happens is, once you've finished your so-called education, which is just the beginning in counselling, you then start to look around for what is it that you need, what might complement your skill set. But we can learn anything, but it's often not covered, unfortunately, at university.
You teach a range of wonderful webinars and courses with us. If there was one particular skill that you think those newly working with children should have, what do you think that might be?
I think it is getting in touch with the child within. And it's the advice I give parents. I'm just reaching back to get my little babushka doll. I say this with parents. If you're having a problem with a 10-year-old child, you've got the other children, there's no problems, but you personally are having this problem, you're owning it, you've got the problem. Nana doesn't have the problem with them, you do. So what was happening for you when you were 10? And I think the same seems to happen in a parallel process, that when we meet a child that's 4, potentially inside us is the little 4-year-old. All our ages are still there. And by tuning into what we went through as a 4-year-old, and then getting into that, that's the most important thing, to be able to get back to all those previous ages you've been, and tune into those when you're with the client.
And I know you're also running a narrative therapy supervision group for us at the moment, which is getting great feedback. What do you value most about that group, and what do you think you can offer in that online forum to support others?
Well, I mean, I don't think a lot of what we do is like a narrative therapy. So although we're calling it a narrative therapy group supervision, because I'm a narrative therapist, we're actually hearing about cases. We're all doing some feedback and brainstorming around cases. We had a topic come up a couple of weeks ago. Someone had been asked to get their file ready for subpoena. So we all had a contribution around our experiences with that. We have clients that are at high risk of suicide, and we work together to listen to how that counsellor's managing, and then we might put forward something we've learned about a helpful question around suicide. So we're working collaboratively together. So although I'm the clinical supervisor, nevertheless, there's a lot of experienced people that come along, or new graduates that come along and want to be part of that wider group. Individual supervision is fantastic and necessary, but for me, group supervision is this wonderful opportunity to hear what other people working in the field are doing.
Fantastic. And I know also, Kim, you're going to be one of our keynote presenters, our professional development workshops at the upcoming Expo. What are you most looking forward to about presenting and being part of that Expo day on the 5th of December this year?
Yeah. Well, I think, to be honest, this year, 2020, the Expo is like a celebration of having achieved surviving 2020. And again, you'd anticipated it being an interactive face-to-face event 12 months ago. So I think for me, it's a celebration of adaptation as counsellors. We've adapted to this world of providing counselling support online. I've got the webinars for the creative whiteboards on Zoom, so that it's a celebration that we've all got through the year, and we're coming together to share even more skills. And I can't wait to listen in to some other people's workshops too.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks, Jackie.